on with this. We're gonna get this on the road. Welcome. Oh, here comes Jay. Look at that. As soon as I start the recording, never fails. Welcome to Kaleidoscope Conspiracies Roundtable for the agency. That is our jury. We have a total of 9 people. As of right now, there's only 5 here on the Zoom. The others may or may not join as they can. I think we're gonna start, and we'll just have everyone kind of go around and give their opinion on the final 2 and how they kind of feel about it. So whoever wants to go first, we'll start there. Don't ever
Yes.
jump at
I don't
one.
know. I feel like Mike wants to go first. I don't know. I can't
Go
tell.
for it, Mike.
Okay. Okay, so I know pretty much the consensus probably is that Jacob walks away with this. I disagree completely. Sure, I feel he played a good social game in the pre-merge. However, after LJ got voted out and at the alley vote where he wasn't getting his way, Keaton was telling me over and over again he was throwing temper tantrums, he was freaking out, he was so pissed off he didn't have a say in that. And then cut to the next vote when Marcelo got voted out. He didn't have a say in that either because that was Corey playing his advantage, which Jacob did not know about. And then cut to the next round, which was the one where Crispy got idled out. Jay even said himself, Jacob still did not know what was going on because if he did, why not play the swap on Jay and save his number one ally? Jay had to save himself. And then round 6, he was the target. I don't feel he played as great of a game as we're giving him credit for, but that's just my opinion. I feel Keaton played both sides, hid behind the 2 biggest shields there. I just personally feel like Keaton played a better game.
Okay,
I
could I
just
just my
no. Go
bad.
ahead, Jay.
Let me just a few things. So one thing, Keaton hid behind both shields, he said, but he's in the final 2 with one of them, so he didn't really do that well. Another thing is Jacob wasn't necessarily getting his way, but after Ali went, the 2 people he wanted to go ended up going regardless. Crispy went and Marcelo went. Marcelo ended up going because of my relationship with Jacob. I just trusted that more than my relationship with Marcelo and Crispy. So he essentially got his way without even knowing what was going on with my extra vote that round. Yeah, I just did that because I just felt more safe with him that round
But
as
this,
well.
but this slipping ass, but he said without even knowing what was going on, this slipping ass backwards into getting your way really count as
I
dominating
mean,
the game though.
who all knew about Corey's advantage that round though as well? Besides, Corey went around. I don't think maybe one other person knew about that, but I can't really hold that against him. But the target was still like I had an opportunity to shoot Jacob that round, and I did it. And I think that's a testament to like how good of a social game he had.
Yeah,
Because I
I
could
guess
have.
what I'm trying to
I
say
knew
is I'm
Crispy.
not fully ready to crown Jacob as this is already decided. I feel Keaton does
Mhm.
deserve some credit for the game
Oh
he played.
no, Pena
And
definitely
it should
deserves
be
some credit too. Yeah, I agree.
I
so.
think for me, I get what you're saying about Jacob and things like that. I do think though the fact that he had those temper tantrums and it didn't cost him to get out next, I think is very impressive, and I think that's definitely a testament to why he's still there because he could have easily flamed out and ended up getting himself out because people were like, oh my god, I can't work with Jacob anymore, like he's got to go, and yet he didn't.
Sure.
But I also don't know much about Keaton's game, so someone please enlighten me.
Yeah,
Well,
I
Keaton,
don't know
This
much.
is
Keaton's gonna
this
have to explain what he did a lot.
this is like I think like Kevin and I obviously have been chilling in the agency for a while, not knowing too much. Like Mike's already half answered one of the questions I have. Like I'm gonna be a listener here, just like I just frankly don't know enough about the games that's been played, but like
Yeah.
I was under the impression that Jacob was basically from the start of the game to the time I left, that he was in the most insulated position, the best position. He was running everything. From what I've heard afterwards, like that kind of faded and petered out. So I need to hear, is that true or not? Or what about that, wasn't true? For Keaton, it's kind of the opposite. The first half of the game, he was nearly the first boot on our tribe. He was spared only by a courageous John Buckley, Leroy Jenkins run that somehow succeeded. He voted like inappropriately and not even like having the care to change his votes at certain times when he knew he had to. So like should we reward a game that he picked it up good, they nearly had us in the first half, not going to lie. But in the second half, with a lot of targets ahead of him, he managed to kind of navigate well and skate by because his name was never high on that list. Like, do we reward half a game that was solid that still ends up with Jacob at the end? Those are the questions I've had. I put them in jury chat. I hope to learn the answers tonight because I don't have a clue.
That's my thing as well, LJ. Because I feel like after Karen left, the two people I saw being the biggest threats at the final six, the people I saw being the biggest threats were Karen, Jacob, and Keaton. Now, I said Keaton could get to the end and win this if Jacob and Karen weren't there, which is why I thought he would maybe be open to taking a shot at Jacob at that final six. But when we got to the final six, Keaton specifically told me like hours before, like I shouldn't even bother talking to him because I don't have his vote. So when you're already icing me out at the final six, when one of the biggest targets telling me you're gonna keep Jacob, I'm like, okay, keep him. But if you end up with him, don't expect my vote as well. So that's kind of where I'm at.
And I think to Jay's point, that does make sense there because we did have the numbers to get him out. We knew Karen wasn't going to do it, but we had the 4 there.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
and he didn't take the shot. So I want to know why he didn't take the shot.
And he had a final 2 with you. He had a final 2 with Corey. If I'm the only person you're worried about, I don't see myself winning any of the immunity challenges that were played since then. He could have ran it. He could have been at the end with you or Corey right now.
Also, too, I don't see any of us doing that endurance challenge for 33 minutes with him.
Oh, he did drop out early, but I don't see why Corey takes him out right there. He had a final 2 with Corey.
True. So I guess what carries more? Because to me, I don't feel Jacob played as flawless from start to finish.
I don't think so as well, but I feel like Jacob was insulated with people that shouldn't have been. It's so insulated with Jacob for so long in the game, specifically Keaton and specifically Karen. But to Karen's credit, she needed to keep Jacob there just in case it was a chance that he got shot instead of her. So I can't really blame her for that. But for Keaton,
I don't blame her for that at all.
I can't give Keaton the benefit of the doubt for keeping Jacob this long.
Well, wait. Why not though? Because
God damn, loud.
Why not? Because you could argue that Keaton was always not going to be targeted first.
Is that Karen behind you? I didn't even know. My bad. Sorry.
Yeah, she's right here. No, but was like, I think it's kind of smart for Keaton to not actively go after Jacob because Jacob was always going to be a threat. If Karen wasn't there, I think maybe besides Jay, were any of us going to shoot Keaton?
No, I don't think any of y'all. No.
So why is that not smart?
I'm just saying, like, let's say once Karen leaves at the final 5, I mean, the whole fear everybody had at the final 6 from my standpoint was Jacob was going to go on an immunity run if we didn't get him out right here, and that's exactly what he did. So I'm saying so why does, I mean, I could see why keeping him in after like the assassin thing maybe, but at the same time I'm like, we just didn't see Keaton as big of a threat as Jacob. Like nobody saw like Keaton as being like as well insulated as maybe he was. Maybe that's the testament to his game as well, though.
And I think it could be because everyone just thought that Keaton was going to be like the easy person to take out towards the end. Everyone was so gung-ho and focused on Jacob that Keaton was able to slither in and find his way in, and no one really caught on to it until it was too late.
One thing I will say, I was like starting to notice Keaton like at the final 9. I'm like, nobody's really saying Keaton's name, but I couldn't really do anything about it. You know, it was still like a few targets in the game, and I really didn't feel like it was the time to take out Keaton. So like that's another thing to his thing. But it just circles back to Jacob was the threat this whole time during merge, and he's still at the end. Like this works for Keaton's. Everything we're saying works for Keaton if Jacob's not next to him. Like he hid behind the 2 biggest targets in the game, but one of the biggest targets is still next to him.
Right.
And I tried to sell it to Keaton at the vote tonight in Final 4 that your best option, if you get me to Final 3, you're guaranteed to get to the end because if I win, I'm taking you. if Jacob wins, Jacob said he would take me out at 3. So yeah, you're still in the position, but your better chance of Jacob not winning that challenge was to keep me there. And he brought Corey. No offense, Corey.
I think it's kind of
I'm muted,
impressive.
of course.
Oh,
Yeah. I just had like a question about end game votes because like a lot of people said things tonight. I want to hear from Keaton why it made sense to vote out Mike tonight, knowing that like what kind of challenge is coming, knowing that knowing like, or I want to know if he thinks he's like worse against Mike than Jacob, but I want to know like the rationale for taking out Mike when Mike is probably going to do better in that challenge than Corey. And I also genuinely want to know if Keaton was just like blowing smoke up Jacob's ass, or if he was actually going to take him if he won, because those are two things that are like quasi disqualifying for me if you played the end game in a way that really minimized your chance to win, and it seems like Keaton may have done that.
Well, the thing with Keaton at that final 6 vote, he wasn't going to budge off of Jay because he was pissed off at Jay.
No,
And for no reason, by the way. I still don't understand why.
Off at Jay. He didn't care about Jay.
No, he
wasn't pissed at Jay.
Oh.
Yeah, he was a little teed off, but like
he was kind of,
the little break we had, it kind of like everybody was chilled out. But if we had to go like to, I don't know, I felt like he was a little pissed, and I felt like he was still mad from me taking his spot in the vault as well. But yes, Marcelo.
Period. I raised my hand because I don't want to interrupt anyone. I'm gonna say this, and I've said it in the jury chat, and I've said it a while that for me, I feel like Jacob won the game when Karen was shot in the assassin vote. And I'm going to explain a lot of reasons why. Yes, Jacob did not have a good social game with me. Like, that's number one. But did Keaton? No. So neither of them had really good social games with me. I appreciate that they both played the game. But one thing I don't appreciate is when you, at the final 6, when you're pitching for your life, you say, I will be content if I get 6th place. We're here to win. Like, there are people in this game who wanted to win and they didn't get to the final 6. And to be told and to hear that pissed me off because at the end of the day,
I was just gonna say, didn't you hear at the final 6, like you're not even gonna give me a chance to like give my side to stay.
Exactly.
It's kind of like
Jacob did agree with that though, and he did reiterate that where he said, "I'm also like I'm cool with how far."
No, I understand, but like you have to remember that it's just like Keaton said that first, and like I'm not saying like first is
also Keaton said that knowing good damn and well he was not getting shot that round. Like he said that knowing the bullet was probably me or Jacob, so he said that fully showing his ass knowing he wasn't going to get 6. So saying you're happy to get 6. Yes.
Didn't everyone think one of you two had the bullet?
Yeah.
Everyone thought one of us probably had it, and then the other, and whoever it was going to shoot the other.
Would you have?
No.
Who would you have shot?
Yeah.
I was torn between whether I was going to shoot Jacob or Mike. And then Mike said himself how he didn't even need to say anything to the jury because he hadn't pissed anyone off. And it was like ding, 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 right there, buddy. Everyone a reason to fucking now.
You did say that.
You
Mike.
said that. You were like, I'm going to also give 2 speeches, one to the jury and one to whatever. And to the jury, I didn't piss any of you off, so you have no reason to shoot me.
He was the most perceptive. He was the most perceptive. Cheers to Mike.
He was the most perceptive. He didn't have a vote, so he didn't vote anyone out. That's how nobody got pissed off at him.
Also, it's like
wait, hold up. Back to me real quick. You were gonna shoot me? What did I do?
You were good. You were good in everyone's books. And if I had a chance to be there, I had talked with Keaton many, many times about how my best chance at that point, if I were to survive, it would have to be a fucking bloodbath and how to set that up to have a fucking bloodbath. And that's what I'm kind of looking. I'm like, was Keaton still in that mentality of fuck it, we're going to a bloodbath at the end then, and I'm going to have to fight my way to the end. And that's kind of what it's looking like.
I respect that. Keaton also from the beginning knew the assassin was going to be you, Jacob, or LJ from the beginning of the game.
He told me we had a call on night 0 and I was discussing because I was trying to push targets on people low key. And I said, it's probably going to be like Jacob or Karen, right? Like Jacob, Karen, maybe Marcelo. And he's like, no, it's Jacob, Karen, or you. And he told me that then, like, he had a pulse on that part of it that kind of amazed me. We also have like the ability in this game to like make our pulse become the actual truth.
Right.
But he had that read cold early. It's not a read I had. So like I respect that a lot from him. That's something that gives me a lot of marks in my book. Like from the beginning of the game, he had the lay of the land. That's pretty nice.
And not only, clearly he knew what was happening, because not only did LJ win, but the runners up was a tie between Jacob and Karen. So
Yep.
he knows what he's doing. And I don't think that this was him getting to the end was by happenstance. I think he deserves a lot more credit.
And I also feel
I
like
don't think it was
just super cagey a lot, where if you weren't working with him, and Karen, we talked about this, where it would just be a lot of like, we'd go to him and say, hey, Jacob, what's going on?
That's my thing. Everyone's saying how well insulated Jacob was and what a great social game he was. He had everyone side-eyeing him and pissed off for the last 4 rounds about different things. Like Jay and I talked about it heavy too. We all knew that he was lying to us about certain things. Jay and I knew, unless this was bullshit from you, Jay, that Jacob lied to us and didn't tell us about his advantage and shit, but we knew he had told other people about it. And he was trying to make us seem like we were close. So it's like, where was this great management with the people actually playing with him?
Okay, well, let's kind of build off of that. What would you say the pros and the cons to each of their social games were?
I feel like Keaton was really straight, like was more straight up, or at least I would get answers from Keaton. If I talked to Jacob, I would just get a lot of, so like, Jacob, you and Jay are really close, right? And he'd be like, no, dude, I don't know why everybody thinks that. Like, no, he'd be like, no, Jacob, I know you are. Dude, no, like, oh, hey, you talked to Zeb lately? Yeah, no, bro, yeah, totally. Like, it was just always,
or like, prime example, the round Crispy went. I went to him, I was like, what's going on? Like, what are you thinking for tonight? And he goes, I want Marcelo, which is what had happened the round before, but not the way he wanted it to. And I said, you know what? I don't need you being coy and petty with me. You actually got your fucking way last round. I believe Marcelo did go home. So if you want to talk about what you actually want to fucking do this round, let me know. I don't have the time for this. Okay. And he goes, no, I'm not being coy or whatever.
Marcelo went before me.
Yes. And after the round Marcelo went, he kept saying, I went Marcelo, and was being sassy and a little dickhead about it because we didn't tell him what was actually going on, even though Marcelo ended up going. So he was being petty, and all he would say was he wanted Marcelo, and when it said what happened
when Allie got voted out too, like he knew Allie was going, and he freaked the fuck out, and he wasn't getting his way, and he was like, no. So I even went to Corey, and I went to everybody, like, do you think he would be going this hard for you? And they all were like, no, he wouldn't, because he would completely show his ass at that point, and he was just, anytime he didn't get his way, he freaked out and acted like a 2-year-old.
Now that y'all are telling me this, I'm kind of realizing, like, I kind of helped Jacob's ass a lot out.
You did.
And that's why I was so wishy-washy with you, because I was like,
Karen, I was trying to get him off my back, girl. I'm gonna be honest. Like, once he didn't save me at that merge, I wanted him away from me. Like I did not want to work with him. That's why I came to you, and I was like, he's playing. Like, I came to Karen. I was like, he has a great relationship with me, and he has a great relationship with you. And he's like maneuvering us around him, and it's keeping him safe. And like we had that heart. I don't like.
And yet you guys both worked to keep him safe, so he obviously did something right there,
right?
Obviously
you did with him, and I needed to keep a fucking target who might have gotten shot other than me. Like it's not like I liked working with Jacob the entire time. I didn't want to making some of these decisions.
She doesn't like it.
I really didn't want to. Marcelo, like once Allie got voted out, I was like fully like, I don't want to work with Jacob anymore. Even though he voted with me to keep Allie, I didn't want to work with him anymore. It's just like the way things shook out, like Corey playing his advantage and me not knowing what the hell you guys are gonna do on the revote and just playing it safe. The whole Crispy and Corey round was like all crazy, but I was actually down with you and Mike Crispy. It's just like Corey.
I wish you told me that.
Yeah.
Because I was telling you the truth the whole time until
I was heartbroken that alliance didn't work. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I was very upset.
Hindsight's a bitch. So what about social game?
Wait, I didn't get a chance to say anything about Jacob's social game.
You know what? Jump on it.
The extent of my social game with Jacob was that he was more willing to talk to me about what was going on in Distortion than he was willing to talk to me about what was going on in this game. I'd ask him what he wanted to do, and he would be like, I don't know, but I'm just so darn sick of people not coming up with a name for an hour before tribal. Blah. I'm like, okay, my closest ally in LJ just got voted out. I'm open for biz. So give me a name and I'll go with it. At that point in time, I would be like, if he had told me to vote for Karen, I would have written Karen's ass. Sorry, I would have. And but he was like, I just want to try harder with you. And then that was it. He didn't try at all with me.
See, and he was selling that shit to the people he was working closely with. Because Jay and I would get that kind of bullshit also, where he'd be like, well, I don't know. And it's like too much of letting others feel like
I
they
don't
had.
understand, like, why you trust Keaton and Corey more than me when I've given you nothing? Like, Karen, do you know that first Nick vote? I told him the whole plan. Like, I told him the whole plan, and I told him, like, you can vote with the bottom. It's fine to conceal it. And he still did not tell me what the hell was going on after that vote. And I still worked with him because, like, I had no choice at that point. But, like,
yeah, your options were limited.
They became limited after that.
They're very limited.
Became limited.
LJ,
Sorry
Marcel,
about
you got anything to add to Jacob's social game?
Yeah, the only thing I have to add, and this is why I need help from everyone else, because I'm learning a lot about how people who actually played this game and had to have multiple interactions felt about this. I came into this game thinking well of Jacob Adorno as a human being. We had one great call. I was definitely under the influence of something or other, but it was great. I didn't expect him to reveal strategy to me because I thought at this point he had known that since day 4 I was saying, we got to get this motherfucker out. And I thought that he had probably been thinking about some kind of counteroffensive. So we didn't talk game, but we talked, our lives, our significant others, our plans, our career paths, all of that. And it was a wonderful, magical conversation. I came back to my alliance chat of Crispy, Mike, and Karen and said, this is the most charismatic person in this game. If you don't get him out, I'll just probably lay down my torch to sheep him because he's going to do so well. So that was my impression leaving the game. Everyone else's impression is so much more informed. So I'm going to try and listen to that more because obviously my view isn't the best one.
I mean, Karen, how many talks?
And where I'm at too.
How many talks did we have, Karen, where we said, I don't see this amazing social player that has his whole game wrapped around his finger?
Yes, that's the thing. Jacob, amazing personality. Hands down, one of the best people. Love the kid. He can talk way too damn much. We all know that, but love the guy, right? But social game and strategy gets really fucking, it was just a lot of flailing at one point. And, yes, we were all, snaking each other and whatnot. And, yes, he had definitely, again, the Marcelo vote. He didn't know what the fuck. He's still, I don't know, unless he maybe has a little bit more of an idea of what actually happened and shit. But, he then was not open with the people he said he was working with and, wasn't giving anything. And, yeah.
Marcelo, you got anything to add?
I mean, is anyone else going to speak over me? Just asking. T. Okay.
You've got the
Slay, because I was trying to say something earlier and then everyone just talked and I was like, okay, I will mute. Well, clearly Jacob never gave a fuck about me in this game. Keaton never gave a fuck about me in this game. I don't think anyone really gave a fuck about me in this game. But it's we see that Jacob, I don't know. It sounds like Jacob just played everyone had this everyone meaning a general amount of people had a perception that Jacob was just playing a really good game, even though there are people who now are saying that oh, Jacob didn't know this, Jacob didn't know that, but clearly Jacob's in the final too, and Jacob, not to beat a dead horse, but Jacob also has won competitions to get him to the final two. There's been moments where Jacob has been vulnerable and people almost took a shot with him, obviously at final 6 when Jay went, but it's one of those things where he did something, and Keaton also did something to get to the end. But for Jacob, I just feel like his social game kind of lacked, but I find more positive in his social game on my end and perception. I mean, he put me up at the merge and he was like, we just don't talk. And I was like, because you don't talk to me. So, like, what's the point on that? But, like, you know, Jacob kind of just dug himself into this mopey hole of like, oh God, like, no one's giving me a moment to, like, you know, I don't know what I'm doing, yada, yada, yada. So, like, I don't know. His social game seems to be like, on a scale of 1 to 10, he's like at a 5. Yes, Karen.
Christine, you were talking about this earlier too, and it's almost like the self-fulfilling prophecy. Like enough people just kept saying, but Jacob has a great social game, but Jacob's going to do so well, but Jacob's going to do so well, that everyone just kind of went, yeah, Jacob's doing well. And now it's like looking back and it's like, did he, or did everyone just keep saying that? And now we're actually fact checking it. And like, not to say he didn't do well, but like, did he do as well as he said? Like, he was the clear front runner. And why didn't he get shot at 5? Couldn't tell you. But, you know, like, there are things like that I'm like, you know, if he was doing so fucking good, there were times where he should have gone, and that was out of my control and everyone else's. So
I did vote him at Final 8. No one else did.
Jacob won my vote at the Final 6 when he stayed on that revote. That was he should have went on that revote, and the fact that he did it,
yeah,
I was like, and the fact that he I knew he was gonna win all the immunities after that. I was like, there's no way he isn't. So like,
and that's kind of where I'm at too. I know I don't have a lot to say because I was the first juror, but that's kind of where I'm at too. It's like, it seems like, yes, while his social game wasn't the greatest, it's like he still was known as like this big target for a lot of people. And there were rounds where he didn't win comps, and clearly he did something to stay. And I do think that's impressive. So
what you got, Mike?
And I can say too, at that Final 6 vote, the reason I flipped was because 1, I knew Karen wasn't gonna flip, which is fine because I knew her strategy from the beginning. 2, I'm like, Keaton's been gung ho about Jay the entire time. I'm like, I don't fully understand why he's not flipping. So why am I gonna go to rocks at this point for this? I'm like, I don't understand why Keaton's not taking the shot right now.
if you don't understand why, I don't understand why. So yeah.
No,
bloodbath. Bloodbath.
That's why.
Bloodbath. We wanted it to be a bloodbath, and him having the 2 biggest targets at Final 5 again gives him the best chances to get to Final 4.
We also had a call before that where he said it's gonna be LJ. LJ's gonna shoot Karen. I'm 100% on that. So if you were
Keaton would have been fine either way because Corey was still gonna take Keaton to the final 2. So like that,
which good for Keaton.
It's the way Keaton knew Jacob had a safety without power. Jacob told Keaton that.
Speaking of Keaton, what would you say that Keaton's social game did for you? Like where did his strengths lie in this game?
He actually gave me a chance. Like that was Keaton's thing, is that he was willing to give me a chance.
Keaton took the openings people presented him.
Yeah.
And I ran with them.
I gave Jacob an opening too after LJ left. I presented it openly, and Keaton was more willing to hear me out than Jacob was. And that I appreciate. That means a lot to me as a juror. And I also just want to add, Marcelo, I cared about you in this game.
I love you.
I know you did. Mid-December,
baby.
I think it's like Jacob had this like prophecy of everyone around him saying how good he was doing or going to do, and he was either living up to it or fighting against it. And Keaton kind of got to fill in his own Mad Libs here and found the space where he fit best, and nobody had this preconceived notion of Keaton going to be an amazing social player and everyone's going to feel good with him and he'll have an immunity streak at the end. Like, Keaton got to fill in the spaces where he fell and take up the space he needed to take, and he found those cracks where people were starting to distrust Jacob, not enough to take him out, but enough to be really fucking annoyed with him. And that's another day for Keaton to live if someone's annoyed with Jacob.
But everything you just said, Christy, about Jacob is how I felt about Keaton the last 2 rounds. So I completely understand what you're saying though, from your perspective as well.
And it is
Yeah.
always impressive how someone is supposed to be like first boot and then gets all the way to the end. That's always a really, really strong arc all around. So I definitely, like I said, I don't know a ton about Keaton's game. From what you guys are saying, it seemed like he did a really good job of just being very like adaptable and things like that, always giving people chances. And that's definitely very admirable. So I definitely want to hear more about his game.
Well, like LJ said that Jacob played the game he wanted to. Like Keaton played the game I wanted to. He floated back and forth. People wanted to get rid of Jacob at one point. Keaton's name never came up to me at any point. And like
I mentioned
Okay,
Keaton to you
besides the
before.
first vote.
I mentioned Keaton to you before, Mike, a few times.
Oh shit, yeah, you're right. You know, it's late. It's late.
It's okay.
For me, like for me, like I don't know if this is like it's like kind of a double-edged sword social game, because Keaton's best social game was keeping me at ease by talking so much shit on other people. So like I'm always like, oh, well, if Keaton's talking this much shit to me about other people, like clearly I'm in his inner circle, right? Like, oh, so like that was the day I left, like Keaton completely made me feel 100% comfortable. It was Ali going, had me fully going. We were talking about like, hey, next round we got to do something. I was obviously hinting it was Jacob Adorno because that's the only name I hinted at all fucking game. And yeah, so like I respected, like, I don't think it was a traditional social game about having people feel good about you, but it was a social game in terms of having people feel worse about someone else and better by you in comparison, which is like really novel. I haven't played a lot of these, but like that impressed me. Whereas like Jacob's, to me, again, very limited sample size, was just the more traditional of like, hey, this is a great fucking stand-up guy, and I'd be scared to ever talk next to him ever. So.
Okay, I have a question. Who already has their mind made up?
I did, and now I'm like unsure.
Okay, so Jay, Mike, Crispy, what would it take? What information would you need in order for you to flip your vote?
I would want to see Jacob kind of own the fact that he was cagey and flaky, and there was just a lot of showiness. Like the conversations LJ is talking about, where he was like, "This is a great stand-up guy." I got it from it as this guy is just trying to butter me up. He is completely telling me what I want to hear. He's completely blowing smoke up my ass. Anytime I try to bring up strategy, he diverts away to something else. So if he can own that and say that that was his strategy somehow, and that's how he made it work, and he wasn't just this big reputation thing alone that turned into a big monster at one point, I'd be willing to flip.
Jay?
I think for me to vote, like the more I learned about, I think also Jacob has to admit a few things to me as well. Like I kind of helped his ass out a little bit more in the game than I thought I was a bit. Like I thought I was throwing him under the bus, but I was still like inadvertently helping him to the point where I found myself eliminated at the final 6. So I kind of need him to like kind of own up to the fact that he didn't know what was going on at all the times, and he needed allies. You know, obviously, I need some. I need some divot. I need him to give me my 10s. As for Keaton, he's gonna need to tell me what the hell he was thinking those last 2 rounds talking to me. Like honestly, he really lost it. Like he had never like it was like a complete shift in tone in our conversations. Like it just felt weird to me. And we kind of had a talk, but we kind of had like a vague talk about it at the final 6. But him like completely shutting me out at the final 6 kind of just like left a nasty taste in my mouth. And yeah, I'm just gonna really need to hear like him own that a bit, at least from my perspective.
Crispy?
Hello. How's my audio? Is this better?
You sound a
Yeah.
lot better.
You've never sounded better.
Okay. Great. Sorry about that. I don't think that there's anything Jacob could say to sway my vote. Because like I said before, he didn't necessarily feel it was required to give me a chance to work with me in the game. So I don't think it's required for me to give him my vote at the end. Like I said before, Keaton, and all of his flaws in the game, which there are many, he at least was willing to strategize with me and was willing to talk to me, not just about the game, but about like personal life stuff. And I barely even got that from Jacob. So Jacob can be this strategic mastermind, which I don't think he is. He can be this social threat, which I don't think he is. He can be an amazing comp beast. He won 2 comps at the end to get him to the end. It's just 2. I don't consider that a comp beast. But so there's not much he could say, truthfully. Is that bitterness? Perhaps.
Crispy,
Oh,
can I ask you
or
a question?
Of course.
When you're done talking, I just had a thought. Like, Eureka, you found her.
Oh, you found it. I'm pretty much done, Bestie. You can ask your question.
Okay, this is literally just like, it's like just a genuine question because I agree with like all the things you said. This is the hardest part because when we entered this game, I literally knew like everyone in the cast, like, and everyone I didn't know, like it was just like I knew you adjacently. So my question is, obviously Keaton gave you a chance, and Jacob obviously like, didn't. Actually, no. I'm not gonna ask the question. My question was gonna be like, since you know Keaton,
Because
like,
we know each
IRL,
other.
but but you kind of explained it in a way that like all the facts that you said were games. So I'm gonna negate the question. It was a thought.
I mean, I can still like, because I'm sure other people have thought it before too, but because he's literally right the floor above us right now. But yeah, I can see where you're Keaton, your game was shit. I can see where you would think that for sure. But it got to a point where, especially after the LJ vote, where it was like I kind of had to rely on that a little bit just because I thought that was what's going to get me further. Keaton's the type of player that he could give 2 fucks about who he knows coming into the game. Like if it made sense for Keaton to vote me out first, he would have done it. And I think that he was willing to give me the chance because it made sense for the game.
He should have.
I think our conversations flowed a little easier because we do know each other. But talking to Jacob, it was like pulling teeth.
No, I respect that. I was just the thought came to my mind, but you honestly, like, you mentioned things that were strictly game related, so yeah.
Yeah, it's a valid question though, I understand.
Oh, I know it is. That's why I asked it.
Allie, are you able to talk to us?
I'm here for a little bit before my last break's over.
Well, while we have you for a few moments, give us your thoughts,
Not here long enough.
opinions. We'll kind of open it up and let you have the floor. There's been probably about 40 minutes worth of discussion almost. So I'll kind of let you kind of throw it out there and see if anybody can answer any questions that you might have. If you have nothing, that's fine. I'll open it up to the others to tell me what it'll take to sway their vote, what they need to hear.
So it's down to the final 3?
No, Jacob and Keaton.
2.
We got Jacob.
Oh, sorry. I literally.
This is when you know
didn't see
she's been working.
Yeah, we're down to
no,
Jacob
I have
and
barely
Keaton.
read the chat.
It's Jacob and Keaton.
Yeah, we're down to Jacob and Keaton. We've talked about the pros and cons of each of their social games, and now we're just trying to kind of condense what it's going to, take. What are they going? What do you need to hear in order for them to get your vote?
I mean, I've pretty much been like Team Jacob. He was like the main person I was rooting for since like I came into jury. Just because like he's played such a strong game, I feel. I mean, obviously I want to know more about his game first. Like I'll probably just ask them both like for sure, like what they really did, why I should vote for them over the other. But like I feel like Keaton's game was a little bit shady at times. and it was hard to like get anything from him. Because like sometimes it's just like trying to talk to him. Sometimes he would just like give like complete bullshit. Honestly. Anyone else have any thoughts?
Oh, well, I mean, I was going to weigh in because I don't feel like I've said a lot, but what I will say is I kind of came in and seeming like, okay, I'm all in on Jacob. Jacob played this amazing game. And I think what I'm hearing now is I just want to know if it was his game based on intentionality or was it again based on what people were pushing, and was he just kind of like going along with that where it's like, oh, I'm playing this amazing game and things like that. People know I'm playing this amazing game, so I'm going to act like I'm not playing this amazing game. Or was it really just we all thought he was playing this great game, and in reality, it was a very sloppy game in that way? Because it just seems very confusing to me, and that's really what I want to know more about. Whereas it seems like Keaton has that really impressive arc of almost being out early, finding a way to play the middle, knowing what to say to people, putting himself in a really strong position to where I don't think he was by any means carried to the end. I think both of them played very strong games all around. And I think it's really just going to come down to, as always for me, just who can explain their case the best. Was Jacob's game intentional? Was he able to play a game based on the way he wanted to play it? Or was it just, again, we all were just kind of misted by how just charismatic and amazing a person Jacob was, and wasn't really focusing on what was he actually doing in the game, was that was going on. And then Keaton, again, was his whole game really this like this underdog type game where he was able to put himself in the middle and things like that. That's really what I want to hear about, is what was their game and how can they explain it succinctly. And if they can do that, they'll win me over. So
Kevin, your word count is under 10,000 for this chat, so I am going to need you to pick it up a little bit more. But
I just gotta say, for Jacob, we have to make this at least 2 hours long, because he will watch this back and he would give us nothing less than 2 hours if he was on the jury. So we do have to fill a lot of that in.
And we have to use the biggest words possible.
Honestly.
I just like Keaton overall, you mentioned it, Kevin, like his story arc, if we're looking at that, I think the root of it too is just knowing how to be open. Like he was the almost first vote, and then he laid the fuck low. But he stayed open and present enough that he had people like Mike going to him and scheming. Like Mike didn't actually take Keaton's vote. Does everyone know that now? Like Keaton had his vote the whole time, and they were just coordinating that.
Sorry, Allie. I had to vote for you that round. I didn't have a choice. I'm sorry.
Oh, I just realized you were on this call.
So like Keaton kept getting opportunities, whereas Jacob was cagey with his allies and got left out on shit. Looks at the Corey Marcello round where Corey played that power and shit. And people kept Jacob close, but they weren't as open with him with the info and shit, whereas Keaton kept being involved in the fucking schemes and not having to actively be a driver in it too.
LJ, I'll let you have the floor.
That was the exact. I don't want to steal your thunder for Sunday night or whatever, Karen, but and talking about agency down the stretch. It's Jacob probably lost some because he was perceived as being Jacob, so people didn't want to give him more to work with. But what were some of the more subtle ways in which you think Keaton kind of steered the mid to end game in a way that restricted your options, helped him have a clearer path or something? Because I'm open to the possibility that neither of these two people had a very great mid to end game in terms of agency, but one of them was just a little better than other. So if you can describe how Keaton probably I've heard Jacob not getting his way, not being happy, and I've heard then from you Keaton having some finesse in terms of how things played out, exactly why they did. Because that to me would be huge in terms of knowing who helped at the most pivotal points of the game.
That was to you, Karen.
I think that Keaton, the round after you went, Crispy was open and Keaton knew, like, do we need to talk to Crispy more? Like, are you good with Crispy? And knew to keep that open. Keaton knew when to pull Corey closer and when we were actually working with Corey and shit, and when to keep Corey in a certain direction. Even with Jay to a certain extent, like up until the last couple rounds, like had a pretty open mind with shit. But I think he just fit into the pieces and always had that perspective of the end game. And he had Mike too. Like Mike, how close were you actually with Keaton?
When LJ left, he was the first like I talked to you and had my emotional little temper tantrum about that. But I mean, we had talked before that, and I mean, I was probably working closer with Keaton than anybody else in the game after LJ left.
And nobody picked up. I didn't pick up on that until 7-ish. And that's only when I really started looking at Keaton because Crispy was gone. And I was like, okay, Keaton, I guess I'm actually close with you for real now. Like, how are we getting to the end game? That's when the whole bloodbath started. And Mike, you had those conversations too, where like we had to set it up to be a bloodbath at the end so that I might be able to fucking survive 5. And Keaton always was just very open to that shit.
I could say like Keaton never shot an idea down that I pitched to him, even if I knew he wasn't gonna go with it.
And
would
Keaton would start a conversation too.
Yeah.
Like
Jacob,
if we weren't saying anything, he would throw it out.
I had to go to Jacob every time. And even when I knew, like, even at 6, like I knew he was voting for Jay. And I would still be like, so Jacob, like what's as Karen so joked, now what? He would be like, yeah, I don't know. I guess, and he would always just say, well, I haven't heard your name. And I'm like, okay, that's a good start.
Marcelo, what do you need to hear from either one of them to get your vote?
What does it mean to win this game? I think that says a lot about how you really like use your perception on how you feel. Obviously, like I can't. The thing in juries that make me laugh is when people are like, "Close your eyes." I'm gonna name every juror. Like, raise your hand.
Can we not do?
Oh, I love that question.
I don't.
It's a funny question.
It's just like one of those questions where I'm like, they're gonna raise their hands for the people that they think they have, but like, what's the perception? But for me, it's like I want to know why they believe they're the winner of Kaleidoscope, because we have Jacob who played last season and obviously, came back, and then Keaton who's never played this game. But like, it's something that I think Jay, you said it like a couple tribals. I think like very beginning of Merge, where you're like, I'm not like. It's like vets versus newbies, but like we've all played. Like I've seen Keaton win. I've seen Jake. I don't even know if Jacob's won a game, but if he has, I've seen.
He got close. He got close. He almost won
hasn't.
CCC.
Anyway, oh yeah, kind of robbed, but that's fine. But like we've seen them. I've literally played games with both of them where like I've seen them get close to the end. So it's not like getting to the end for me, for both of them, is not like congrats, amazing, but it's not like, oh my god, you got it, you got to the end, like that's amazing, like you've never done it before. Have. Why is this game specifically
what was different about this one?
Yes, Kevin, thank you for taking words out of my mouth. Appreciate you. But like why is this game the one that's the most important? And like I just want to hear their stories, because like we all had different journeys to get where we are now, and I feel like I just need to hear how much they want it, because like again, they both said that they'd be content getting 6th place, which like still rubs me the wrong way. I will say I definitely walked into this being like Jacob,
Yep.
but now I'm like maybe not.
Same thing.
So
Yeah,
that's what I need to hear their journeys.
Marcelo, I thought you were going to decide based on the question of what would your song be in a lip sync for your life. I thought that was going to be like.
No, that's not the question. The question is, if you could explain your game as a drag queen on RuPaul's Drag Race, who would it be?
Okay.
And I'm going to ask that. That's going to be my first question. And I know that those two are probably not going to know who to say. And they're probably going to say very generic. Like if one of them's like Alyssa Edwards, I'll be like, you don't have my vote. Even though
What
like,
if one of them said be a gun?
I
That
would
literally-
love
My
if Keaton said Anitra just for Walk That Fucking Duck.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, that'd be good. No, if they say Gia Gunn, I'm literally like, thank you so much for your time. Something extra. I'll be like, Christy, I can't. But no, it's like, I just, again, it's the thing of we know these people. Like they can't pull tricks out of the hat and be like, oh my god, I did this. Like it's just they need to explain why this specific game. I don't give a fuck about love CTC, but I don't give a fuck about CTC. I don't give a fuck about like.
I also don't give a fuck about how Jacob didn't make it through his first season. I'm going to say it right now. I don't give a fuck that you left 3 rounds in. I don't think that's a hurdle that you overcame here. That's 3 rounds in, bestie. Like, I want to hear about this game.
Do we have a bitter jury?
Oh,
I don't
I feel
think
like
so. I, like,
Bitter.
I'm gonna be really
I
happy.
wouldn't say so.
I'm
I
gonna-
think more of an equal
I'm
jury.
gonna ask them. I'm asking them what Guts song they're gonna to describe their game.
Queen, yes, guys. Olivia Rodrigo, we love her. Anyway, back to the question. I think I'm just gonna make it so that I don't know. I'm not bitter. I'm bitter at some people in this call.
Call him out.
Honestly,
Call him out.
honestly, you should just be bitter at me just because.
I'm
Well,
bitter.
looks at my public vote.
Okay, so we're
No,
bitter
I'm not
with
bitter
each
at
other.
that.
We're not bitter with the final 2, is what I'm gathering.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, not really bitter, but I want them to explain their games more.
Okay. What would each of you say is the most confusing aspect of each of their games? We'll start with LJ.
Okay, it's perfect. These, unless Kevin takes this from me, because I assume like we'll go in order for jury questions. This will be my questions. For me, it's the exact opposite. And like, I know people are gonna like have a predisposition to not care about pre-merge or any of that shit, but I think actually playing a full game fucking matters. Keaton was completely by his own self fucked up the complete pre-merge and swap portions of the game amazingly. Which allowed him to be seen as someone whose name you would never bring up. And like, so do we reward that by like knowing like how to navigate the post-swap game because you're not a target? For me, Jacob, it's like, I thought you were the man. Like, what happened in the second part of the game after I left? So those are basically my questions. Those are what I don't know. That's like going to be everything I try and pick up on during, and I'm going to try and balance it because like, I think you need to play a complete game, and I don't think either of them, by virtue of what they said, played a good end game or were planning to play a good end game if they were planning on taking each other and being here. So I'm gonna try and put a lot of weight on as much of the game as possible.
Kevin, what's confusing to you? What do you need answers to?
Yeah, I think for me, piggybacking off of what LJ said, when he's talking about, how someone played the whole game, I think that's why I came in so high on Jacob, because I think he fucking killed the pre-merge of this game when it came down to, the bonds that were solidified and things like that, the way he was able to take Jay under his wing and things like that. Same with having Karen as like a shield. These were things that were talked about very early on, and he was able to maintain that. And, even the round that I left, like the second that Jacob's name was thrown out, I'm like, fuck no, because I thought Jacob was very important to my game. And I feel like a lot of people at that point in the game felt that way. So to me, I just found that very impressive, the way he was able to kind of do that. What I'm kind of struggling with now is it seems like after I left, his game just like really went down. Like it just got very confusing. It was all about, again, was what he was doing intentional? Was he actually like just trying to, what was he just trying to throw people off? He was saying to everybody that he didn't know what was going on and things like that. Did he actually know what was going on? Like, I think there's a lot of question marks when it comes to the, when it comes to the merge portion of his game. And I think, again, if he's able to articulate it in such a way to where he can explain intentionally why he did it and what the purpose was, then I will definitely give him the win. With Keaton, I think really it just comes down to like, the positioning that he was in early on, again, what LJ said with him completely fucking up his positioning, like in the pre-merge and things like that, did he use that as like a way to position himself within the merge, or did he just kind of end up getting there? And, you know, did he just end up in this position and things like that? And I want to hear more question marks about, I just have a few question marks about both of their games. So if they're able to answer those questions and really just sum up their games as succinctly as they possibly can, then I feel like, you know, then I will figure out who to vote for.
Jay, what do you need answers to?
I need to know what was Keaton's mindset after the John Buckley vote, because like he seemed like in a frantic panic. Like I had never had a conversation with him, but he was like giving me a lot in our first conversation, like right after that vote at merge. And like I need to know if like was he acting off like emotion, or was it like all strategic based off what happened? Because he still had good relationships with the people, I would say, enough to not make moves that he made, but he still made them. And for Jacob, I need him to like, even though with Jacob, it's like it's kind of hard because like we're all finding out new little things about his game. Like maybe he didn't know all the intricate things in the votes and natures of advantages being played necessarily and what was going on. But at multiple rounds where the people he wanted to go, they went. Like, there's no reason why I should have voted out Marcelo. I'm sorry. Like, that was just stupid for me to do, and I did it. There was no reason for me to. I knew I was playing my idol. I shouldn't have voted Crispy. I should have voted somebody like a Keaton or a Jacob in that, because I knew it was going to be 1-1. Jacob voted for Crispy and whoever else in my vote. So maybe something could have happened right there, but I should have voted for Crispy, and I did, and Crispy went. And that kind of left me where it was between me and Jacob at the final 6, and Keaton and Karen were always going to pick him over me. So
Marcelo, you're terrible for that chat. Mike, what?
I'm just saying bye.
Girl, the
oh
cat.
yeah. One more thing. I'm glad you said that, LJ,
Oh,
because
was the caps on?
I am a little tiffed. Me and Jacob made a day one alliance. We made a day one alliance. It was dead serious. We had a name to it. Kind of mad about it. And I feel like I gave him no
We will
reason.
see. We will see if your day one alliance name with Jacob beats my day one alliance name with Jacob.
Oh,
That's all I
God.
have to say.
I cannot stand that. Like, I'm like a little mad. Like, there's no reason at any point in the game he should have trusted Corey and Keaton over me. And the fact that they got there further is because he did. And now that I'm starting to think about it, maybe I am a little pissed. So I'm gonna need him to like explain that to me and explain like why them over me. Like I did nothing. Like I actually used my advantages in ways that I should have to help you inadvertently, and it kind of screwed me in the end. So yeah.
Mike, what questions do you need answered?
For Keaton, it's pretty simple. Why did you not take the shot at Jacob at 6? Like we had it. Like, was that an emotional decision or was that something I didn't see? Because for me, it made no sense. And now you're sitting here. You could have been sitting here with Corey or me, and honestly, it would probably be a much easier decision if you're sitting here with two of us. But you kept Jacob. For Jacob, I would say the most confusing part is I don't see how playing dumb and acting like you don't know what's going on and shutting people out of conversations is a good strategy.
Crispy, what do you need answered?
Nothing. My mind ain't changing.
Period.
Sorry.
Marcelo? Aside
Um,
from, drag queens,
Okay,
who's their favorite?
Corey,
What do you
let's-
really need answered?
I need answered for Jacob. I think I need answered. Like, I feel like I need answered Jacob, like, for both of them, and then I'll do individual. For both of them, I need to know what their lowest moment was in the pre-merge and what their lowest moment was in the merge, because I wanted them to see, like, you can't play a perfect game. Like, you can't be, perfect. No one can be me. No, I'm kidding. But then, like, I want to know that. And then for Jacob, I want to know, like, if there was a moment where he felt like, what did he feel like was his most, the controlled move that he can say that he did? Because a lot of it seems like it was kind of, yeah, but like seemed a lot of like wishy-washy. And then for Keaton, I need to know how his game changed, I believe, for the better when he joined the Mafia with Matt and I. No, I'm kidding. For Keaton, I need Corey. You don't laugh at my jokes. It's like really sad because I'm so funny.
I'm dying. I'm laughing. I'm
No,
dying.
I know
I'm dying
you,
here.
but Corey's like stone cold. But I need to know for Keaton. I just need to know because my perception, if I'm being completely honest, and Karen, you can you can decline this, but I feel like my perception was there was a trio of like you, Keaton, and Corey, and like I felt like it was like a triangle, and like you were like the head of the triangle, and I just want to know like if how Keaton can differentiate his game, because I feel like yes, Keaton got there not by accident, but like you can see from an outside perspective, like how did Keaton get to the final two? Like what? Because I thought Keaton was getting third tonight, and I was very gagged when Jacob picked Corey to go. But it's like I need to know how Keaton can differentiate his game from the like trio of Karen and Corey.
And last but not least, the HBIC Karen.
I
What
was the
do
HBIC, but okay.
Of the
H.
two females in the game, Karen was definitely the HBIC. Call a spade a spade. What does Karen need answered to give her winning vote to either one of them?
I am so up in the air, like genuinely. And I'm curious to see how they answer so many of everyone else's questions. The only question I can think of right now, it's a little redundant. I've asked it before, but heads or tails?
Don't do that.
I'm so up in the air. I'm not actually going to do that, but like that's how up in the air I am. I don't know what I need to hear from them. I think it's going to take hearing how they answer some of these other questions and like getting their perspective of the game. Yeah. Because I've got all of mine and all the juries now. And they got some explaining to do.
Have them pick a number.
Pick a number between 1 and 420.
They do have some explaining to do. And then I will end it with this, and then we'll open it up for free discussion for you guys to talk about whatever you want. Do you think the decision would be easier if they would have chose a different person to sit next to?
Yes.
I feel like Jacob Adorno would have won. I'm going to be completely honest. For me, I feel like Jacob would have won the game if he picked Corey.
I personally would have been as open and neutral, but I think it would have been much easier overall.
Yeah,
Sorry, I was just sorry.
Karen's like,
That
we're
makes me even
done.
more
dude.
mad,
Did she
like,
burp? Did she
No.
burp again? Was it a burp?
No.
Karen said,
No.
men can't speak in my household.
I was trying to speak and Karen just muted me. I've been telling y'all since day one that she is harmful.
And yes, and I told you at day like 13 to 14, and you didn't care.
It was a mist.
It was
A must.
It was a must. I forgot what I was gonna. Oh, okay. If Jacob had taken Corey, I would have 100% given my vote to Jacob, because even though I talked ever so slightly more to Corey, Jacob didn't actually like infuriate me like Corey did. So
And it's weird, like
sorry.
Junior.
Yeah.
Do you think that would have stayed the case having like Corey has since been on the jury and said like, I didn't know I was that infuriating? Do you think he would have had a chance at a FTC to be like, no, yeah, actually, no, never mind. You're emotional. Yeah. Anyway.
Would Keaton's odds be better if he was sitting next to Corey?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, since we're into hypotheticals, let's say we ended up with a Mike Corey F2.
No, my feelings, no.
I'm a Mike very easy, and I would not have a ability to be swayed, but like that's just because Mike could have taken me out first and didn't, and so I'll just like love and respect.
I'm gonna be completely honest, and I love
he kept
Corey.
being good throughout the game, even though I don't think I was in his long-term plan.
Jay is
Marcelo. Marcelo.
Someone who didn't, who gave me a chance.
Has someone screenshotted this, please? That's a great thumbnail of him. Oh, damn, you moved.
All right. I live alone, so there was no one over there. I was acting. Got a BFA. Graduated in 2018. Thank you. Anyway, I love Corey. Corey is camp. Corey served charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. Rachel left days ago, bestie, but it's okay. Corey could sit next to Bertha from Walmart, and I'd still vote for Bertha. So, like, I would have, if it was Mike and Corey, I would, like, I don't want to say that, because I feel like Corey's probably like, oh my God, I would not have won. But it's like, calling Corey out in the main chat about not talking to me was like the highlight of this game for me. Like, it was kind of like camp, and I loved it. But like, no, if it was Mike and Corey, I'd definitely vote Mike. So
yeah, ideally what I would want.
Mike could be up against any of them, and I would have given my vote to Mike in any scenario. So
Because like my last show,
So if Jacob, Mike, you'd vote for Mike?
yeah, obviously.
And you were worried about your feelings being hurt. Everybody is stroking the shit out of your ego right now.
Not everybody.
Jay,
I'm too
give him
tired to
something.
stroke
Jay,
tonight. I'm sorry.
Jay,
I'm gonna be honest,
Jay, give
Mike,
my man
if it-
something. Give my man
I'm gonna
something.
be honest. If it was you and Corey, I was gonna try and give Corey some setup, like help, just
Well,
like
it's funny because Corey said he wasn't gonna send me to fire because he said you're the only one I'll lose to. He said like I will lose to you in a final two, and I was too nice to say Corey, you're gonna lose to everybody in the final two.
Question, Mike. Did Keaton say why? It's your turn, bitch.
I
Did Keaton say why he didn't send you to fire?
He said he had.
I'm a little surprised.
He said he had a deal with Corey, a final two deal, and he didn't want to go against it, and that again, it was the whole no one on the jury's pissed off at you. You'll win if you get to the end.
again that makes me realize why not take out Jacob at final 6 again if you had that final 2 with Corey. I know the bloodbath for Karen, but like at that point, Karen was gonna get shot on the feet.
Yeah, at some point, no offense, Karen, it's got to be like I gotta do what's best for Keaton.
But like,
do what's best for Keaton.
Is it like if people actually thought I was getting the assassin? Isn't it in everyone's best interest to have a final 4 of Mike, Jay, Keaton, and Corey? Like, shouldn't absolutely everyone fucking like that?
That's what I was thinking.
So somebody fucked up. So somebody very much fucked up if that's what people thought.
That's what I was thinking. That's what Corey had told me that he wanted that to be. I'm like, I don't know what you thought.
Corey and Jay were on Jacob. We were ready to do it, and I knew Karen wasn't gonna do it, but then I was like, why does Keaton not? Like, I get bloodbath and all that, but at some point, like, if I made that deal with Karen, I'm saying, sorry, Karen, I gotta do what I gotta do. Like, the good luck at 5, Karen.
It's me always on YX until like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
When I watched it.
There was a very loose 4 of me, Keaton, Corey, Jacob, but like we hadn't talked in it since. Jacob still tried to act like that was a thing, but like there was no conversation in it either. Like that's the only thing that I'm like, would Keaton have been factoring that in the equation still? But I don't see why. Like, I don't know.
The way y'all stopped talking in that chat like a week before you got voted out, so I couldn't even delete that fucking chat. I was like, I just want to clear this chat. They're not fucking using it.
Yeah, cock didn't live long.
Now, here's something that's kind of random, but I do want to know, since you guys are on the jury, and a good chunk of you, and by a good chunk, I mean, I think about half of you, gave points to LJ in the assassin. Why did nobody clock him as even a thought of becoming the assassin?
No, we did towards the end because me and Keaton.
Towards the end, but I mean, they're in. Y'all were in the middle of the game.
I think we
I mean,
figured he was
LJ
gone. He
racked
was
up
gone
the
for so
assassin
long.
points
I think
early.
we all figured he was gone for so long. There's no way. I mean, can we talk about who we gave our points to?
You're on the jury. Who's gonna find
I
out?
gave my points to Allie because I wanted to watch the world burn.
I gave my points to Allie too.
Yeah, let's go, Jay.
I knew I could get Allie.
Thank you, Marcelo. Thank you, Marcelo.
I knew I could get Allie to shoot who I wanted if she got there, but
Yeah, I knew she wouldn't shoot. I knew she wasn't gonna shoot me, and I was like, "Fuck it, I don't want one of the big players to have this. I'm gonna be petty.
Yes.
Fuck it."
Yes.
I gave some to Crispy, and I gave a couple to LJ.
Yeah.
I think I gave like 4 to Crispy, probably 2 to LJ.
I made up an advantage I had to try and get Karen extra assassin votes. That's how much I wanted Karen to be the assassin.
Yeah,
Little known fact in this game.
No,
I lied. The only lie I told to
I
Crispy and
trusted him
Mike.
in this game.
The only
This
lie I
dude-
told to Crispy and Mike in this game was to try and get Karen more assassin votes.
No, first of all, I was straight up with all of y'all. Y'all lied.
You lied. No, hey.
No, you lied first. No.
But you told me that you got my advantage, which I knew was a lie right after. So I was like, oh, this bitch is lying.
Okay, well, you lied first.
Yeah, but
Then
no.
I asked Crispy if his idol blew up, and he said yes, and it didn't.
It's like, Corey, my support in this game was a mile wide and an inch deep, and that was the complete problem.
Man,
like that was it. Like
Mike,
I probably lied to you at least 5 other times, LJ. I just can't remember what it was.
Mike, that was the only lie I ever told to you, and I was still a little sus on you for the LJ round, so I wasn't sure if I could trust anyone with people knowing that my idol was still in effect.
I understand. Well, it's too because Karen could tell you though. I did say to Karen at one point, I'm like, Karen, I know this is probably terrible gameplay. I'm not voting for Crispy under any circumstance. I like Crispy. I'm not doing it. Fuck it. I don't care.
And this is why I gave you several of my assassin points, Mike.
Oh my god, I'm gonna get more than 2.
Okay, who
3.
gave me assassin points?
I did.
Period.
Marcelo, I gave you an assassin point the round you left. Even though I voted you out that round.
Period.
Actually,
I did not vote you out, Marcelo.
Thank you.
I didn't
I
either.
don't know how I got. I don't even know how I got voted out, but that's another story for another day.
Well, that stupid hoax thing.
We can blame Corey for that.
Also, the hoax advantage. Whoever on production invented that is an advantage that only helps the majority. It very rarely, if ever, helps the minority. Fucking do away with it. Forget it. Bin it. It's so fucking bad. It's so fucking bad.
We can talk
Delete
about the
that.
final 5 soul
Delete
vote
that.
actually, and how that's really, really bad too.
Right.
While we're talking about bullshit advantages that are really unfair.
Well, it's funny that
That
the
wasn't
hoax
an advantage. That was like earned. That was earned.
Well, it's funny that the hoax advantage was used to take out the minority when I'm literally a minority. So like, make it make sense.
My question is, how were there so many lose a vote things, and I managed to get all of them?
How is it that
we're really unlucky?
Okay, but how is it that I used a power that I wanted to get rid of someone big, and I'm so sorry, I love you, like shout out, you're a queen, but like y'all voted out Allie with
Well,
like the dark vote?
I had to vote Allie that round. I didn't have a choice. My vote
I
was
voted
locked,
Corey
my
that
vote
round,
was
Marcelo.
locked in on Allie.
I voted Corey, and I
I
said,
voted Corey. I know Crispy voted Corey.
Yeah, that vote's gonna be interesting because like I didn't have a choice. I had to vote Allie.
I mean, I will say we were kind of robbed. I'm gonna be real. We were kind of robbed of like the most iconic final two of the season. The showmans. Allie and Kevin, the queens. No, I'm like,
But
Yeah.
like in all honesty, like this is a why don't people like form a 3 and then pick up Kevin and Allie as a 2 and be like, oh my god, I have an end game ready, set, made.
Did
Why
I
don't
not-
people
did I
actually
not-
ever
did I
do
not
that?
tell you
Because
that?
I
Did
wanted
not
to do
tell you
that. I
when we
wanted to
gave
do that.
Kevin?
But you know, I loved Crispy too much to even consider that. I just loved Crispy too fucking
could've-
much.
we
That was the
would've-
problem.
Is that not essentially what people did with me and Jacob, though? Picking us up and keeping us two in as their ultimate shields in the end game?
Oh, Karen, another thing I want to say like about Jacob, like I know
But you guys
like
win comps.
there was like times that you probably I don't know if there were times that you would say like you came to him like wanted to get me out, but like I tried to vote you out twice and he still somehow managed to keep me in the game while you were still in the game.
That was purely me going, I know Jay did this, but I like him and I want people to have a chance to play. And I was like, when
Real
we would
ass
talk,
bitch.
you would tell me shit, and I was like, I believe that he was only told XYZ. And when you're only told XYZ, what else are you going to do? I didn't go to Jay and try to do something with him. I'm not going to be mad that he voted me then. Like, I wanted you to be able to play and shit still.
Labeling theory. I've told all of you about this the entire time.
What does that mean?
It's like the labeling theory. It's like when it's
Yeah.
this concept
When you're told
when
you're something, you become that thing.
Yes, thank you.
What does that have to do with what I was saying?
So
That's
so-
just illustrating
so
the
Karen.
theory. Like
So
if
Karen.
Jay's being only told to do you so many times, he's gonna be like, well, yeah, I have to do Karen because that's the only thing I'm being told.
Right.
No, yeah.
So Karen,
And when you and I would talk, I was like, I like Jay and I'd like to work with him. So I'd be like, I don't need to fucking keep going. Like, I don't need to go for him. I hope he's not going to keep going for me. And then the next round would happen and you won it. And it'd be like, okay, we can keep bullshitting.
So, Karen, would
Yeah.
you say that you've kissed and made up with Jay this season?
Oh, yeah. Obviously. We made it to fucking 6 and 5 together.
are you
Come
and
on
LJ
now.
are you and
We're
LJ
Great, great
besties again?
placements. Great placements.
Are you and LJ besties again, Karen?
We're not absolute eternal mortal enemies at this point.
Because
I was-
Only one middle finger tonight, not
Because
two.
I can
I was-
say after you both left the Zoom that night, the four of us, like, I'm not gonna lie, we all started dying because that was like the funniest shit. Like you two, it was like mom and dad fighting. Like it was fucking hilarious.
How are we
this is
mom and
what-
dad? We're the children. We're the children. We're not mom and dad. How the
This
fuck
is
are
what I
we?
had to put up
We are the
with.
children. Like,
That was like literally what I had to put up with since we fucking swapped. The number of calls that I had to get on my fucking lunch break and mediate between Karen and LJ when they were screaming and yelling at each other about
Not
who was
screaming
okay.
and yelling,
Crispy,
talking
whatever.
very
no,
sternly.
no.
Well, no,
No,
it was
but-
like,
but
it was
Crispy,
like the
No,
one.
no. I had to sit the both of you down. I had to basically virtually do what my mother would do to me and my siblings when we would get in arguments and sit each other down and make them hold hands until we decided to get along and move on with our lives.
If I got that
Crispy,
handcuff
Crispy,
advantage,
It
if I
was
got that
always-
handcuff thing,
Crispy,
I'm
Crispy,
sitting there.
who was right about who was fucking who? Who was right about that?
okay, but if I
Out
got
of the
that
two of
hand-
us.
if I
What do
got
you
that
Wait,
hand-
who was
if I got
fucking
that
who?
handcuff
Like,
advantage-
No, like out
I
of the like
wasn't
when I
anyone.
said Karen was fucking us and you said she wasn't. Who was right about that?
I'm not. No, I'm not. This wasn't me saying you were right or wrong or whatever. I'm just describing.
No. This is no. Sorry, this was me saying I was right and God damn it, Karen.
He's
Love you.
within punching distance. He's not gonna say anything.
Listen, all I
What
know
were
is
you
that
gonna ask?
being in
Oh,
the
it's-
prod chat was really annoying because Crispy would come afterwards and be like, Jesus fucking Christ. And I'm like, bitch, you couldn't have said that during the call so I can go and listen. I had to be told after the fact.
Oh,
Well, like I
it's-
remember
it's-
I joined one of their calls like after the fact when they had a fight, and Crispy was like, "So Mike, we're having a little disagreement
I remember
about
this.
who to vote for tonight." And I didn't know. I'm
well,
like,
fuck
oh,
Jay
what's
and
the
I's
problem?
drag. Damn. Okay.
God.
I was in my
I
own little
never-
world.
It's, Honestly, they should. I really hope Prod has saved and release all the tapes. The tapes will exonerate me. The tapes will exonerate me, I think.
Well, okay, no. Here's the thing, though. Like, you were both right. That's the thing. You were both right, but I had to decide. I had to figure out like what I wanted since I agreed with the both of you, and I just happened to lean more to what Karen was saying because I wanted Sam and Kevin out because the two of them at that point in time were the only ones that said my name.
Play
Yeah,
that.
So
play that middle.
So like
it's
why-
more the Jacob Adorno vote after you know that Karen's leaked your idol. Whereas like Chris, it's like Crispy, like what the fuck, man.
Crispy, if we voted Karen out instead of Sam that round, would you have stuck with us?
If ask that again.
If we voted out Karen that round instead of Sam, would you have stuck with me and LJ?
No, absolutely not. I would have made it my mission to kill the both of you.
Exactly. See, like that was where Mike, we were fucked because of that. We were just fucked.
It would not have been a
I'm in
revenge
Final
tour
Four.
for
Who are you
Karen.
telling me
It would have
fucked?
been mad that Sam was still in. Like, it would not have been a total revenge tour.
Yeah, that's true. I probably would have made it my mission to get Sam out first and then wanted to murder the both of you.
I said in my pro chat it was a bad vote that night, game wise. It was. I'd do it again. I would still do it again.
Okay,
but I love
no,
y'all.
but then
Good
like,
for
do
me.
you really want to be stuck with Sam for the whole
Oh,
game?
you wanted me out that round, LJ?
Yeah, we do.
Yes, totally. Like, I knew.
Sorry.
No questions asked.
Oh, I love this.
You were at the merge. You were gonna vote with Jacob and not me, and I knew by the time like at last, like the latest time there would be a me and Jacob Adorno showdown would be final 9, and I wanted you out before that because I would lose you. I would lose that. I would lose that, and I lost that at final 10 because I suck.
Yeah, no offense, Jay. Originally, you were drafted onto the Freemason 2.0 tribe, kind of, maybe, possibly. Yeah.
Oh, I told my prod this exact reasoning. I told them I told them I was set up. It was a setup. I told
you
them.
made it through though. New school.
I know. I was like, yay! Thank you, Karen.
All of you outplayed me, outlasted me. What's the other one?
Outwitted
me, but you did not out-topher me. None of you out-tophered me. That's the one thing I have.
All right, beautiful
I
people.
mean, if anybody
now.
is gonna get an award for Joker's body double, it's LJ. So
Bye, Marcelo. I love you.
Marcelo, you crush.
Oh my god,
love you, kidding.
Eric. What? Why?
It is
I
Eric.
don't believe Eric. He literally just said
Eric.
"fuck Marcelo."
He did say Marcelo's a bitch.
Eric.
I mean, it's real. All
Eric.
right.
That's how
A
we
cute
know.
bitch. A very cute bitch.
Justice for gay rights.
Yes.
Wait.
We all raised our fists. What is wrong with us?
No, I was going for my rainbow glasses. We're good now. Okay.
I am proud to be. Wait, am I allowed to say I'm Eric's prod guest in Spellbound? Yeah, I don't give a fuck. I just did. I'm Eric's prod. Eric, I'm so happy to be the devil on your shoulder.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
I got you.
It's my buddy.
Holy shit! Oh fuck! That opens up a whole new world of things.
Shut up, LJ.
I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it.
Shut up, LJ.
I'm just not gonna say it.
I know.
We're no longer recording.
I know what you're not saying.
We are.
We are
recording.
still recording.
But we're not.
I should have
recording,
stopped
actually.
the recording like
Nobody's
forever
gonna
like
watch
10
it.
minutes
ago, but it's too late now to stop it. We're
Well, now you
rolling
just
with
say,
it.
and on that note, we'll see what happens at FTC. Good job at Roundtable. We're gonna keep bullshitting, maybe. I'm a couple beers in.
Yeah, I'm ready to fucking party. It's Karen's birthday.
It's
soon.
Karen's birthday on the East Coast. On the East Coast, it's already.
It is
Karen's
my birthday on the East Coast.
We're
Happy
36 minutes
birthday.
into your birthday on the East Coast, but yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll stop this recording.
Let's sing happy birthday so this gets demonetized.
Oh
Gotta
well,
keep the
if
Zoom
we're gonna
open,
sing
though.
happy
Gotta
birthday,
keep
I
the
gotta
Zoom
leave
open,
that on
though.
the recording.
Oh, definitely.
we'll
Okay.
We'll get
One,
demonetized.
2, 3. Happy
Happy
birthday
to
to
You all
you.
sound terrible.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Karen. Happy birthday to you.
Harmful bitch.
Thank you.
And Karen, you were
And
gonna
on that note, we're going
point.
to end this jury roundtable. Good night.